So the neighbors called the authorities. I don't know. I guess let's see how this goes. It reminds me of a movie that I watched when I was a kid. I tried to look it up, and I did every kind of search I could do, but it reminded me of a movie. I guess it was in the 80s. This guy defected to the United States. He was from Russia. Well, in the beginning of the movie, the guy's father was talking bad about the government, and his neighbors called him in. So of course the KGB came in and arrested him. The old man was living in an apartment, and the neighbors heard through the walls what he was saying. You know, the government established phone numbers and different things that you could contact if your neighbors were talking against the government. And nowadays, it's my understanding, I don't know how true it is, but it's my understanding that China has a social credit score, that if you are doing everything correctly and not talking bad about the government, you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing according to the government regulations, then you have a high social credit score. But if you do something wrong, then you may not be able to buy a car or, you know, something if your social credit score is too low, or get a job, buy food, have children. So it seems to me that that's what's happening to this country. I thought I'd bring my book of notes out here of some commenters that have been commenting about what's going on in their town. As you know, I've made several videos now talking about the EPA's trying to ban wood stoves or make them more difficult to get. If you just want to buy an old cheap wood stove, you can't do that anymore. You have to buy, well, there's two kinds you can buy when it comes to wood stoves. You can buy a reburner, which has these air tubes, which is what I got. And so the air tubes burn the smoke. And then you can buy what's called a catalytic converter wood stove, and it has like a radiator in it. And it does the same thing, it burns the smoke, but it does it more efficiently. What I have burns pretty hot. It gets up to about 500 degrees and it can get pretty hot, but it also burns kind of quick. Whereas the catalytic converters, my understanding, will burn at lower temperatures and burn longer. So I guess it's all what you want. I mean, I kind of like to have a catalytic converter, but they're really expensive. But I guess it doesn't matter. The other day I put out a community tab post, and I said that they announced, and I think I made a video about this too yesterday or day before yesterday, they announced that heating costs are going to go up. They're going to go up as much as 27%, and I'm doing this from memory. I'll put a up next box at the end of this video that links to that video where I talked about all the prices going up. But I think it's like heating costs is going to go up 10%, and heating oil is going to go up 27%, and propane's up 5%. So everything's going up. Of course, I did this community tab poll, and I said something like, they just announced that heating costs are going to go up as much as 27%. And then the poll said, that's not bad, turn up the heat. And the other one was, time to get a wood stove. Of course, time to get the wood stove was highly outranked the let's turn up the heat. Well, one of the things that came up in the comment section of that was wood costs are going to go up too, firewood cost, which, yeah, they will. If you're buying firewood, it's going to go up. And if you're installing a wood stove this year, you're not going to have much of a choice but to buy firewood from somebody. And you got to hope that it's green, not green. This has been drying here at this stack for a year and a half. This one's just over 2 years. So this stuff I'm pulling 15% out, 15% moisture level. This is still up in the 20s, 25 range, somewhere around there. So this is hickory and oak, and that's oak over there. What I don't understand is, as many times as I said this in my videos, all this was free. And so I said, well, you should cut your own firewood. And they said, well, I can't cut my own firewood, I don't have any property. In my videos, I say all the time, I didn't get this from my property. People post free firewood all the time. I mean, they just give this stuff away. As valuable as it is, they just give it away because they don't want it in their yard. They cut down a tree. Carolyn was telling me that there's this guy in town. He goes around, cuts trees for a living. That's what he does. But he doesn't want to have to buy a wood shredder, whatever those things are called. He doesn't want to buy them, so that means the customer wants him to take the wood off the property. He has to pay a company to take the firewood. Well, he would rather give it away. So what he does is he tells it on Facebook Marketplace, hey, I just cut down a tree in this guy's yard, come get it. And that way he gets paid. Believe it or not, he gets paid to cut down the tree and remove the debris, but somebody else is actually doing it. I don't know, you could call it a scam, but it's free firewood. All you gotta do is go get it. Well, that's how I got this, because it's just people advertising that there's free firewood. There's sawmills all over the place that have these trees that you can get these from. But they're making it more difficult. I would imagine within the next generation or two, we won't be able to burn firewood. A lot of people in the comment section will tell me that this is carbon neutral, and I agree, it's carbon neutral. When this tree dies and it lays on the ground, it's going to release all its carbon. Whereas if you burn the tree, it's going to release its carbon. It burns it quicker. I mean, it's released a lot faster. It may take 25 years for it to lay on the ground and rot away, whereas you're burning a tree maybe in the season. But it's carbon neutral. I mean, it takes in all the carbon and then releases it. That's not what the EPA is all upset about. They are worried about the particulates that come out of the chimney. As I said, they're worried about the smoke, not the carbon, the smoke. So they have you buy these reburner, and that burns the smoke. The catalytic converter does too, it burns the smoke. That way there's nothing coming out the chimney except carbon and whatever else. Well, if you're burning wood and your chimney just flooding the area with smoke, it gets on your neighbor's nerves, and you get that particulate, and they're telling everybody, the EPA's telling everybody that particulate can give you cancer, just like cigarettes or whatever. So you're not supposed to be breathing it. It's very bad for you. In Ireland, I read an article last year, they want to ban wood stoves, or they have banned wood stoves, whatever, because when you open the door on your wood stove, it pollutes the inside of your house, which I don't understand that. Mine doesn't release any smoke, but they're saying it releases all that smoke into the house, and then that's very unhealthy for you, your children. But then people were telling me that Oregon says you can't have a wood stove. It's illegal to have a wood stove in Oregon, which I found kind of odd, because there's this YouTuber, and he's a fairly large YouTuber, who lives in Oregon, and he has a wood stove, and I remember him installing it. He didn't pass the first time he installed it. He had to get it installed, you know, with a permit and inspections and all that. So I looked it up, and Oregon is actually pretty restrictive on wood stoves. Here in Missouri, you can install a wood stove, and the only thing you have to follow is the EPA regulations. Missouri has no independent laws. Now, that may not apply to individual towns. I think individual towns can still ban them. But Oregon has it where you have to have a certified wood stove. Now, I didn't go much deeper than that. I don't know if that's EPA certified or if Oregon has more stringent rules in place. Seems to me that they would want the catalytic converter type. I know the YouTuber I was watching, he has a hybrid or a dual purpose. He has the afterburners or the reburners and the catalytic converter in his wood stove. Now, another person said that natural gas costs in their area already went up 53%. Yesterday I was telling you it went up, like it's going to go up this winter about 27% or something, but it's supposed to go up 53% in this guy's area. He didn't say where he lived. Another thing about wood stoves, one person said, is they couldn't get a wood stove. Their insurance company wouldn't let them. Now, what I would suggest there is see if you can find another insurance company that will let you, but that is kind of a deal in some municipalities, where they'll kind of make a deal with the insurance companies, or the insurance companies makes a deal with the municipality, and they just kind of ban them all the way around. Another person said that their pellet stove. Now, a pellet stove is similar to a wood stove, kinda. It sits in your room and it looks like a wood stove, except you can buy these pellets, and you can buy them by the ton, I think is what it is. I've never done it. I've done a little bit of research on it. Pellet stoves still require electricity. It has a little motor on top, so you fill this hopper on top, and the motor releases these pellets into the stove, and the pellets burn. So when you don't need heat, it stops feeding pellets. So it has a thermostat. But this person was saying that they bought their pellets for $210 a ton last year. This year they bought it for $300. So that's an increase of 42%, they said. I didn't check the math, I just took their word for it. So if you're going to check me on math, don't. That's their figures. Regardless, $210 to $300 was a significant increase. That's a $90 increase. Heating costs is really going to be a struggle this year. I told you at the beginning of the video that neighbors are calling in people running wood stoves, living off grid, specifically wood stoves. Here's what I found out. In California, somebody said it's illegal to have wood stoves in California, and they have a phone number that you can call to turn your neighbors in if you catch them burning a wood stove. California, I mean, if somebody's going to make it illegal, they're going to make it illegal. And the reason I thought that is because somebody said they have banned natural gas stoves in new construction in California, which I already knew. I've said that in videos before. So if they can ban natural gas, surely they ban wood stoves. So I didn't really question it too much, but I went ahead and Googled it. Believe it or not, California has no state law banning wood stoves. None. Even Missouri says that you have to follow EPA regulations, but that's it. I mean, they don't have anything else. But even California doesn't have any. So what about this guy saying that they can call you in if you have a wood stove? So I Googled it, and that's right. It's not California, the state, that is dictating you can't have wood stoves. It's the individual municipalities are being real jerks about it. So yeah, I even Googled it. Can I call my neighbors in for having a wood stove? And they gave me the phone number. I actually had the phone number, and I thought about giving you the phone number, and I thought, no, I'm not doing that. I give out the phone number, everybody's gonna be calling, my neighbor's got a wood stove. It's interesting how we as a free society has decided that we don't want to be free on anything. And what they always do is what I just said in this video, is the EPA is worried about you causing someone else in your neighborhood cancer from the wood smoke. I don't know how true it is that wood smoke is going to hurt it. I have my suspicions about it. I don't think it can be that pollutant. I've never heard of anybody being hospitalized because of wood smoke. Yeah, if you don't like the smell of wood smoke, I'm sure it's very annoying when your neighbors start up the wood stove. I just got a whiff of it. Must be somebody down the hill who's burning their wood stove right now, because I just smelled it. I started mine this morning. I personally think it smells wonderful. You know, burning oak and hickory, walnut. Oh, it's just great. But am I actually being harmed by it? I don't think I am. I know that when you go camping and that smoke's blowing your face, and you know, they always say smoke finds beauty. Well, so we're all sitting there at the campground and whiffing on all that smoke. I don't hear anybody complaining, oh, I'm gonna get cancer, I'm gonna die, oh, that smoke particulate is gonna really harm you. Carolyn was telling me a story a while back, and she said that her neighbor said, if you decide to cook outside, would you let me know so I can take my clothes off the line? And Carolyn said, well, sure, of course. Well, Carolyn's husband at the time was furious that the neighbor would make her do that. Oh, that's just terrible. No, I don't think so. I think what Carolyn did and what the neighbor did was work together to come up with a solution for both parties. And I think that's the best thing, is try to find out a solution instead of just calling everybody in, getting everybody in trouble, and we lose all our freedoms. So if you'll click this up next box, I'd appreciate it. Take you over that video I was talking about, where I was talking about the heating costs going up. So I hope I can inspire you to get along. Sing, live your dreams. Thanks for watching.